Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman. No, we're not in the studio. We're having some technical difficulties, but that's okay. Guys, this is going to be an amazing episode with my friend Dr. Kevin, an amazing dude. I love everything he's doing. Thank you, Robert, the Warrior Strategist Garcia, for putting us together. First of all, and guys, if you are a veteran or an entrepreneur, you need to subscribe to Shift Magazine, and I'll put that in the comments. So, Doc, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? How's life treating you today?
Oh, man, life is good. I get to hang out with you on a Friday, so I'm getting to kick off my weekend very good. So I'm enjoying it, and I just want to say thank you for hopping on today.
No worries, man. No worries.
So, Kevin, let me ask the first question is, what is your definition of resiliency? Because, I mean, you've multiple tours, combat tours, you've seen it all, you've done it all. So what is your definition of resiliency?
Resiliency? Realizing that you survived yesterday, so today is a new day. There's always something out there. The ability to adapt and overcome, not give up, right? Why quit? If we've gotten this far, why quit now, right? So resiliency is really nothing more than really adapting and overcoming to whatever the hell life throws in front of you, whether it's business or stress or trauma, family life. It doesn't matter, kids. It's really about being able to evaluate what's going on and adapting and overcoming.
All right. So, for people that don't know you, like I've been following you for a long, long time. And once I got a chance to finally get in touch with you and hang out with you, I took it. So give us a quick down and dirty about who you are, where'd you come from, and how did you become the force that you are today?
Oh my God, I have the most screwed up military civilian career background that you'll ever meet, man. I was in the military for almost 14, 15 years until I was medically discharged after being wounded in Iraq. I started off as a combat engineer doing explosives demolition. Then I kind of got voluntold to go become military police, ended up doing K-9 and fell in love with that. After when I got medically discharged, I started playing with dogs for a little bit and somehow ended up starting a nonprofit to do service dogs. And after training a few thousand service dogs across North America, I went back to school and in an effort to get the VA to pay for dogs, ended up becoming a therapist, a master's level therapist. And we were having such great outcomes with helping vets that the VA actually sent me, or Veterans Rehabilitation Program actually sent me to go get my doctorate in clinical psychology. And that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at. Realized that there's a huge disconnect between what mental health teaches us to, how to handle life, how to deal with kids, how to deal with family, how to deal with the world, and what they think about vets. And going through this educational process, it was like going through another battlefield. Lessons learned, understanding the enemy, right? Because no one likes mental health, and it was able to really understand how simple the disconnect is, why we have so many issues getting ourselves taken care of, and dealing with military veterans and first responders. And it goes across the board. I mean, I still play with dogs. I still teach people how to improve their canine programs, improve their working dogs. The same way I teach people who are veterans and first responders how to deal with life and trauma and life after service.
So, growing up, what kind of kid were you, and why the military when you could have probably done so many different things? What attracted you to the military, and why'd you join the branch that you did?
Oh man, that's I had a life just like most other people, right? I was heavily involved in scouts when I was a kid. I was always outside, always doing something, gone every weekend, trying to stay out of my house as much as possible. But to be perfectly honest, man, like most kids, I want to be G.I. Joe. Go blow things up, go play Army for a while, and that's what I did. enlisted right out of high school, joined the military, and they asked me what job I wanted. I said, I want to go play with explosives and shoot guns. They're like, engineer's the way to go. Cool. Signed up and went. Fell in love with the military, man. I really did. Uh, yeah, I looked at the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, and the Army just offered me more money and more rank, and so I went that way.
So how did you take to the military? Because some people, for me, it was either you loved it or you hated it, or you couldn't wait for that first enlistment to get over with. So what about you?
I think that everyone hates that first enlistment, right? Uh, Basic training wasn't too difficult. I played sports as a kid, and I did ROTC in high school, so I kind of had an understanding, at least uh, an insight to what I was getting into. But yeah, the military is where I grew up. Really is. I spent my first few years over in Europe, stationed overseas, and that was a blast. I didn't have mom and dad to hover over me and run away to, if things got rough. You're really on your own, and really taught me how to build family out there and build my peer group. At first, military was kind of rough, trying to figure it out, trying to be an adult after coming out of high school. But then I took to it. It just turned out to be who I am. I love the structure. I love the organization. I love the peers. I mean, there's always bullshit and crap in the military, but I really enjoyed the camaraderie. I really enjoyed the sense of family, the duty. We always had a sense of purpose. Every time we went to training, or every time we did a mission, and it was a mission, we had a reason we were doing it. So no, I really loved it. I did. When I got reclassed to military police, not so much. Iraq was just kicking off. I'd seen Kosovo and Bosnia before I ever saw Iraq, and they closed down our MOS for reenlistment. They said we could, if anyone who wanted to stay in, we had a choice. We either become a cook or MP. And no offense to cooks, but I wasn't going to fucking boil water. No, not no, but hell no. And you know what? No one likes MPs, but they enforce the standards, so maybe they'll have standards. Man, was I freaking wrong. You want to talk about a good old boys club, but there are some great NCOs that I had mentor me, but it just there was more dirt bags at the time than there were great NCOs. But I think that's just the culture at the time. It definitely changed while I was there in some regards, but it is what it is. And then ironically enough, I was done. I was burnt out. I didn't like the politics. I didn't like the crap going on. I was an NCO, and my sergeant major, big old crusty airborne guy, right? Kind of guy who has to turn sideways to fit through the door because he's just that big of a guy. Sergeant Major Nolan. He comes in and goes, gonna re-enlist. I told him not no, but hell no. He goes, why not? I go, one, I think most MPs can go fuck themselves. And just forgive me, but if I'm going to stay in, I want a job that's going to do something for me on the outside world and, make me $1 million. Well, he goes, do you know what canine is? I'm like, nope, something to do with dogs. He goes, good. You have to be in school by noon tomorrow. You're already a day late. If you like it, stay in. If you don't, get the hell out. But don't ever tell me to go fuck myself again. And I really fell in love with the dogs, man. The problem solving, the different mission, that type of stuff. And I stayed in until they kicked me out for medical.
All right. So, because I'm actually working with a local canine place here in New Jersey called Operation K9 Beethoven.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually help veterans, and also they help save the veterans. The veterans save the dogs, and the dogs save the veterans. So they kind of help each other out. So, what is it about, especially dogs and horses, that veterans and first responders really connect with?
So there's a couple things, right? Petting a dog, science has shown that it releases oxytocin in your system. Oxytocin, for lack of a better phrase, and to really dumb it down for people, it's the happy chemical in your brain, right? Everything metabolizes into serotonin or oxytocin in some form, and basically happy chemical in your brain, and that makes us feel better. Animals tend to be loyal. I mean, they serve different purposes, right? It's structure. The veterans really like that sense of unity, right? That team element. When riding a horse and working with a horse, it's a team. When working with a dog, it's the same way. It's a team. Service dogs are a little bit different monster, right? There's a lot of misnomers, misconceptions about what service dogs actually do for vets and for mental health. And that really just boils down because the people who use them are not the same people that train them, and the people that train them don't really use them in the real world. So people mean well, but it's kind of like, sending an office guy to go do combat operations. They can read a book, but they don't necessarily get the nuance.
Okay, so now I'm just thinking, because you trained them for a long time, and then
Still do.
But because I always wondered, like the shit hit the fan when you hit like your 14th or 15th year, right?
Yeah.
And you get medically discharged. And like my friend Sergeant Nick talks about is, when nobody ever tells you when you join the military that you have a shelf life. And we all think we're, because we're young, dumb, and full of cum, we're going to live forever. We're going to be a soldier forever. But we all have that day where we got to hang up the uniform. And I think it's worse because I was medically discharged after 23. When they tell you that you're no longer whatever rank you were and you're no longer in the military, I think it's a major mind fuck, because you don't have a mission. A lot of us don't have a paycheck. You don't have camaraderie. And like I said, and you don't really have a mission anymore. So is that the way you felt?
You know what? Yeah, it is, but that really is kind of what drives my mission today. The reason we feel like that is because as we're out processing the military, right, we get a bunch of classes from TAPS or whatever the hell they call it these days, right? The transition people and the VA and everyone else. And because they don't understand that we're a culture, they treat us as if we're broken. They don't understand us, right? Everyone has this conception that the VA takes care of veterans, and they don't. The VA takes care of those who are eligible for VA healthcare, and less than 20% of veterans actually engage in that, right? But we do have a mission, right? Most of us are told when we're getting out that, hey, all your military service crap, you might as well flush it down the crapper because it doesn't apply anymore. And that's just not true. It's not. If you don't have a mission, that's your own fault. It really is. In the military, it doesn't matter what branch of service you're in. You're taught in the absence of orders, take charge, right? Find something to do. Find purpose, right? It's what we created sergeant's ham training for, right? Go keep your soldiers busy, right?
Yeah. Hip pocket training. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? But in the absence of orders, take charge. So why don't we take charge of our civilian life? Well, first off, we're not civilians. No veteran out there is a civilian. Not a single one of them. You are a civilian if you've never served in the military. You are a service member if you are serving in the military and then you transition into becoming a vet. And all the research right now out there shows that's exactly what it is. And now that we become veterans, we actually do have a community still and camaraderie, because rather than just being a soldier, or just being a Marine, or just being a sailor, or whatever the hell they'll call a Space Force, right? We're now all veterans, and it doesn't matter what branch of service you were from, right? We accept everyone. We have resources. They're just not the same as what we did in the military. Yes, it is a transitional stress and a culture. They call it an acculturation stress in psychology, but it is a shift in our identity that we have to come to terms with. Some people they need a block of instruction on how to deal with it. Some people are going to have a tougher time where now they're going to have to start dealing with traumas that they've been able to set aside because of military service, and we just didn't need to deal with it in the military. But yeah, getting out of the military was stress. Really was. I had a newborn kid, right? I was married to my wife at the time, and my last wife at the time, and it was chaos. But in the military, we're taught to go look things up. We're taught to go find the regulation, the policy, go find the answers. But it's like when we're getting ready to get out of the military, we shut that part of ourselves off that says, you know what, go fight for yourself. And now we turn into invalids where we're waiting on the VA to tell us something to do. We're waiting on someone to tell us what to do with our veteran benefits or whatever it may be. And that's just not the case. We didn't do that in the military. Why are we going to do that now? Right? In the day formation comes around, no leadership's out there. We start making phone calls. Hey, when can we go home? Right? We seek answers. So why aren't we doing that in our veteran life now?
Well, I think I have like 1,200 interviews on this show now. And I've noticed that there's a difference when somebody gets, once somebody, their enlistment's over, okay, they're done. But I think, like for me, when at one day I was in the military and I was jacked up and taking all kinds of supplements, and I was hardcore ripped, and then the next day 80% blind and I can't even wipe my own ass. And then when they medically discharge me, I come home a different man because I'm fit now, not only mentally hurt, but I'm physically hurt. So I think there is a difference between, just saying, okay, I did my 6 or 8 years and I'm out, to when the military says, hey, you can't shoot, you can't see, we don't need you.
And you're right. It is a huge shift and it sucks. It does wholeheartedly. That doesn't mean that you're broken. That doesn't mean that you're incapable. You just may have to adapt and overcome, right? So instead of shooting with a rifle, you may need to shoot them with a shotgun, right? One of my favorite lines out of a movie was like Hansel and Gretel, when some old guy had a shotgun and they were hunting a witch. The guy asked, "Hey, can you know how to use that?" He goes, "Yeah." "Are you any good?" "No, that's why I use a shotgun." Right? We just have to adapt and overcome. The reason I think a lot of us feel so broken is how we get out of the military. That transition kills us because there's no support. There's no education about, hey, you guys are transitioning from being a service member to becoming a veteran. This is how you plan it out. This is how you need to structure your life. These are the things that are going to take effect. In the military, we're burning thousands of calories a day. We're working out nonstop. We're in a high stress environment. We're living off fucking caffeine and everything else. And then the next day we're out of the military. We stopped working out all day long. We're still consuming a shit ton of calories. We're still drinking like fishes, but now it's affecting us differently because if we're drinking a case of beer a night, right, and we're fine to go to work the next day, because we're working out and burning all those calories during the day, now that we're not burning all those calories every day, we're still drinking that much. So it affects our bodies differently. We're not burning that crap off and out of our system. And we start going to shit. And people don't realize how much of our culture in the military affects us as we're getting out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that because veterans and first responders pretty much run together. We're alongside each other. And it seems like, if a first responder sits down with another first responder and you don't even really know each other, you'll just talk shit and you'll be able to spill your whole heart out. Same thing with a veteran. I may not know you, but if we're somewhere at McDonald's and I meet you somewhere, 5 minutes later, we're into deep conversation because we all raised our hand and said, hey, I get it. But I think that a lot of times when a veteran gets out, and I wrote this down because I think one of my show is one of the only shows that we actually talk about moral injury. And because, veterans and first responders see and do shit that they should never see or ever do. And then when you don't have those, like I was a tank commander. I had my three guys. So I know that we all knew each other. We all knew family. And when you get out and you really don't have that person that they know what you're going through, it gets really tough because you feel like you're alone and you really don't have that person that can say, I get what you're going through,
Yeah. Moral injury is kind of an interesting topic. When it comes to mental health, man, I'm probably the only mental health provider you'll ever find that actually has a Purple Heart. Right. So I get to speak from a different lens than most people. I think the problem with moral injury is kind of how it's defined, right? They say that moral injury is basically the aftermath of evaluating what we went through and the impact it has, right? But realistically is a lot of guys and gals, they have a moral compunction, not because they had an issue with it, because they think it was the wrong thing to do. They think they're looking for meaning, they're looking for purpose. So, well, we killed a lot of people, so that's not right. So I should feel guilty about it. So I'm going to make myself feel guilty about it. Right. We as veterans are looking for standards, right? We're conditioned in the military that we need a task, condition, and standard, right? There's a right and a wrong way to do things. So we get out and we look for it, right? And rather than actually finding one, we start looking for one in the ethos that out there somewhere, they're like, oh, well, they say we shouldn't have this type of relationship, or they say we shouldn't be this type of person. It's wrong to be antisocial or X, Y, and Z, but they can't tell me who they is. They can't tell me where they're getting the standard from. They say, oh, society. Well, where in society is this written down, right? It's kind of like evaluating a mission without an intent, right? It's going to be a clusterfuck no matter what, because you don't know what the standard was to begin with. So a lot of moral injury really isn't what most people think it is. Do some people feel guilty about what they've done? Absolutely, right? But for a lot of us, hindsight's 2020, right? A lot of us who've been in combat were like, yeah, it sucks that we had to put people down, but it was them or us, right? If it comes to a firefight, a moral injury is more along the lines of, if I had to go back and do that again, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger. Oh, fuck that. I would have pulled the trigger twice as much, right? Just to make sure that the guys to the left and right of me went home, to make sure I went home, right? I don't have any compunction about that. Is that normal for society? For normal society? Absolutely not, right? We're a pacifist society these days. So a warrior culture, the veteran military culture, law enforcement culture, right? That's rough. And there are, by all means, yes, there's definitely situations out there where people feel guilty and they have remorse because they had no choice, right? But if you really talk to them about what's bothering them, it's not that what they did is bothering them. It's their choice was taken away from them, or that a minor child was used for an IED, or things along those lines, right? Or a human shield, or the people being used as human shields. That is the element that pisses people off, and they have moral compunction about not usually what they had to do.
Okay, now what about, because then the other end of the spectrum, there's people that are thinking, instead of, what have I done? Sometimes it could be, what didn't I do? Why did Frank get taken out and I didn't get taken out? Or why did I
Survivor's guilt.
to go out on a mission and then because I sent them out on that mission, they didn't come home. What about people like that?
Survivor's guilt, it's a real thing, right? Hindsight's always 2020, and there's always ways things have been gotten better, right? Especially guys who deal with missions that had bad intel, right? That's a big one. That's a really hard one. Or a dirtbag leader who sent you out and to save their own ass. That stuff sucks. The only thing that you can really tell someone at that point is knowing everything that you knew at that time, knowing uh, doing everything you could at that time, knowing everything that you knew at that time, would you have changed what you did? Hindsight's always 2020. We can always go back and look at it again. But with everything that you knew at that time for that situation, would you have changed anything? I've yet to find someone that says yes, right? Not that they wish things could not have gone differently, but they could not have changed what they did for what they knew at that moment. And I get a lot of the same types of questions when it comes to people like when their buddies have committed suicide, right? You know, if these guys are so strong, what chance do I have? Well, they weren't strong enough, right? You're still here, they're not, which means you haven't given up yet. So who's really the stronger one, right? And it still sucks no matter which way you look at it, but it's a point of view, right? And we have to look at things honestly.
Okay, so now, you know, you've got 15 years. Now you get out, and because a lot of guys, and that's why I started the show, because I wanted to let guys and girls know that just because one career ended, you could still evolve and do something better, something more and something better. That's what this whole show is about. It's all about the evolution, because even if, you never see 80-year-old guys running around in uniform, at least they're not playing anyway. So, eventually you'll have to evolve. But I see a lot of guys when they get out, or girls, they've been out 10 years, still rocking the camo, and, they're still acting like they're in. They got all their shit on their car. Like for me, when somebody asked me a couple of years ago, they said, what do you do? And I used to say, well, I'm a veteran. And now I say, I'm a podcast host, I'm an author, and I'm a speaker. I think because I've evolved, I'm still a veteran, but I had to evolve to move on to the next chapter of my life. So talk about evolution.
So we actually created a theory about that, and I did a lot of research on that. We have even a therapy program that I call Veteran Evolution, just because specifically what you're talking about, we have to adapt and overcome, evolve, right? We're evolving from service members to vets, and then we have to go on from there. I think it's very different for everyone, right? And it depends on the environment that you're in. But you're right. You have to move on. You have to keep going on with life. And you have to figure out what your needs, wants, and desires are. What do you actually want to accomplish? What do you want to do? And then what are the steps you need to do in order to get there? And ironically enough, every vet that I come across, even my Veteran Evolution program, we have them write an op order, a short 5-paragraph op order. What's going on? What do you need to accomplish? What's instead of the commander's intent? What's your intent, right? What's the no bullshit? This is success, right? Then you have execution. How are you going to go? What are the potential steps to make this happen, right? What service and support do you have available, or are you going to need? And then communications, do you need to notify anyone, like your wife if you're married, or your husband, right? Or the VA if you're trying to use VA benefits. And it gives them a path. We have to understand that no plan survives first contact. So like even when I went to go start training dogs, right? I came out of the military. I had combat experience. I have live explosive narcotic finds, right? I didn't think I was going to end up training service dogs predominantly. I thought I was going to go in and train police dogs and train attack dogs and more bomb dogs and drug dogs. And the path took me somewhere else. I was doing service dogs because it was the right thing to do. And then I ended up becoming the number one PTSD service dog provider in North America. I had if you would have asked me, hell, 10 years ago, if I was going to be a therapist, I would have told you not no, but hell no. Right. Because I had no desire to sit in a couch and listen to people bitch about their problems. It was an evolution. I was open to change and open to shifting, and my path went from taking care of vets with dogs to trying to get the VA to pay for dogs and medical insurance to pay for service dogs to I realized what the problem was with mental health care for vets, and now I need to help create change. And that's the path that I took. It was an evolution that I would never have expected.
Okay, but now one thing, and I'm going to say, and it pisses off a lot of people, but it's all right. Veterans are some of the cheapest bastards in the world. Like for me, when I wanted to be the best podcaster I could be, I hired people like Robert Garcia. I hired John Lee Dumas. I hired Zach Babcock, Eric Allen, because I want to be the best and I want to learn from the best. And I realize, I want to invest in myself and invest in my future. And it seems like I know a lot of veterans, they have the hey bro mentality. And I know that Rob talks about that a lot. But, if you want to be good at something, you have to invest in training. Like, I'm sure if you want to be a great animal trainer, you want to go to be trained by the best, not just some guy down the street who's got a poodle. Right?
Sometimes. Yeah. But you're right. We're cheap. We are. We don't want to spend money. But it's not that we're really not afraid to spend money. It's that we are looking for resources, and us as vets. So when a vet comes to me looking for resources, it's not that they're not willing to spend money. It's that they're coming to me for resources, and because of our nature is to take care of the ones to our left and right, we start giving them free resources, right? Because it's the right thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do for us. Mm. And we allow that to go too far. The other flip side to that is we're looking for the ethical right thing to do. So we don't want to waste our money and our resources on fluff and bullshit, right? So we're trying to be conscious about what we do. We want to make sure that there's a return on investment for us. We want to make sure that I'm not putting my family out, because everyone in the military has seen the Dependa Club where everyone's selling makeup, Mary Kay, Tupperware, whatever, and watch and all those pyramid schemes. We want to avoid that stuff, right? We want to take care of our family. But then the people that really screw it up for everybody are the vets that are entitled. And those guys drive me up a freaking wall, right? They even come into my therapy clinic, right? No idea who the hell I am, no idea about my background, and start telling me I'm a combat vet and you need to do the X, Y, and Z for me because I'm entitled to it and yada yada. I'm like, man, shut the hell up. We're a clinical resource. The VA sent you here, which means that this is a choice and an option. So shut up. If you want help, we'll help you. But you don't even know who the hell you're talking to. And it's kind of comical because the guys who bitch the most are the ones who've done the least, usually, right? I mean, when I was in the Army, the guys who went to Kuwait, right, and it was Camp Cupcake. I mean, they didn't even get to carry weapons; they had to turn them in. They got coffee and gelato every day, versus the guys who were actually in the field on doing combat operations and shit like that. Those guys tend to bitch a lot less. But those entitled vets, right, they kill me. They do. They're the ones that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of the VA by any means, but they're the ones that go to the VA, say, I need to make an appointment. the VA takes their information for a referral, but then the veteran never calls the VA back and then bitches that they're not getting health care or mental health care. The funny part is in the military, right? When we dropped off paperwork at admin, we didn't wait. We were checking on that thing every day, if not every other day, until we got kicked out of the office, right? But even then it was the email, right? Hey, where's this at? Where's this at? Where's this at? We advocated for ourselves in the military. These guys aren't doing that. And then these entitled guys have really brought a lot of crap down, right? They're the ones that are going to every veteran event and nonprofit saying, what can I get for free? What can I get for free? Right? Well, great. You're a vet. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. But not everything is an entitlement.
Yeah. And also, if you ever ask some guys, well, do you volunteer to help out? Oh, no. So you just want to take and not give at all. And then you get mad that people don't want to give. You're like, you get what you put out in this world. But I also, because I had a conversation a little while ago with Russell Brunson, and something that he told me, he said, you know what, people that pay attention, and may not, even like you said, it may not just be with money, but maybe with time, where if you don't have any skin in the game, then you're not really going to be helping yourself, because, well, I believe, like you'd say, that, nobody's coming to save you. You have to take part in your own healing and recovery. Now, I'm in recovery 35 years, haven't had a drink or a drug since 1989. But I realize that in order for me to stay sober, I can't have the first drink. And I also have to say, guys, if I need something, I have to say I need help. And I think that's the biggest thing, is a lot of guys and girls don't want to admit they need help, right?
Yeah, they think that it's being weak, and it's not. I mean, one of the greatest lessons I learned in the Army when I was starting to learn to become a leader was, yes, you can't, there's no I in team, right? But in order to take care of your team, the leader has to take care of them. They have to square themselves away first, right? You can't be a dirtbag and expect to lead. You can't not go to your medical appointments and then expect your troops to go to theirs, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself, how the hell are you supposed to take care of your family and the ones that you love and care about? And you can't do everything on your own. Nothing we did in the military is on our own. Even for the guys who went out doing the secret squirrel operations, right? And they go, take out, I mean, we've all heard the stories about, CAG and all those wonderful 3-letter agencies and people who don't exist. And someone's still got to do their admin paperwork. Someone's still got to pay them, right? Someone's still got to do their medical stuff. So they're still not doing everything alone. So why the hell are we trying to do everything alone as a vet? But yeah, you're absolutely right. We have to advocate for ourselves. These guys got to get off their butt and actually care more about themselves and their ego. They're not, stop treating them. A lot of these guys treat themselves as if they're broken.
Okay, so now, like I said, my perfect avatar is a 45-year-old male, father of 3, veteran, brand new business owner. So how does a person go about finding a mission again? Because a lot of guys, and I find this big is when somebody goes for a job when they get out of the military, they hand their resume over and it's got a bunch of nomenclatures on it and it's got a bunch of numbers, and the people just look at it, their eyes glaze over. They're like, we're going to call you back. And then as soon as you walk out of the office, they throw it in a circular file because it doesn't, to transfer over to civilian life. So talk about that a little bit, about how you have to, prepare for civilian life when you get out. Because it's I don't care if you're a Navy SEAL, Delta Force, it's not going to be easy when you first get out because you're starting from pretty much zero again.
Well, the answer to that question, that's $4.99 the first minute and 99 cents each additional minute right there. No, it's all good. The answer is actually a lot easier than you think, right? Write an op order. right? What is the situation you're trying to address? Stop trying to kill everything with a shotgun blast, right? In the military, we had an op order to go on a mission. We had an op order we had an op order to deploy to combat zone, right? We also created op orders once we got there for every mission we went on, and the same thing in life, right? I need to go get a job. Great. What are the steps I'm going to take to get that job? I need to make money to take care of my family. Great. How much money do I need to make? Right? What are my bills? What are the things that need to take care of? What are my resources? When I talk about writing an op order, as doofy as that sounds, right? It is the same thing we do for everything in the world. We got to go to the grocery store, right? So we got to put food in the house. There's a situation, the mission. I'm going to go get groceries. The commander's intent, what the wife says for most of us is here's the grocery list. Make sure you grab the milk and the bread, right? That's the commander's intent. So now we're on to the execution, right? Well, let me grab the car keys, make sure the car is gas. If not, I got to get gas on the way there. I'll grab it go to Walmart, wherever the hell I'm going to go, right? Unless we have to go to some foo-foo store for whatever we need to get, right? Well, there's the execution. Service support, better make sure I grab my wallet, right? Command and signal, let me make sure I call household 6 before I leave the store to make sure there's nothing else I need to grab, right? We just don't write it out. We do it in everything we do. We just don't write it out. So when it comes to harder things, let's take a second and write it out. I need a job, which is what most vets say. Great. Here's your cookie. Congratulations. You need a fucking job. I need purpose. Great. Well, how much money do you need to make? Well, if I need to make $100,000 a year, does it really matter if you're working at McDonald's or you're working in an office? It doesn't matter. You may not like your job, right? But you're meeting the intent. Let's get our needs met first, and then we can make things happy, right? When things are taken care of, our priorities are taken care of, everything else falls in line. If you're making enough to take care of your family right now, but you hate your job, great. Let's improve our quality of life and start looking for another job while our families are being taken care of, right? That's how you define purpose. That's how you give yourself purpose. If you enjoy taking care of people, right, and you enjoy helping others, well, you can add that to your life. Taking care of others, great. What does that mean? Does that mean ringing a bell for the Salvation Army, or does it mean doing a food drive, or does it mean getting information like you're doing out there to the world, to the other vets, right? Everyone's different, but you have to create a plan and point yourself in a direction and realize that right, wrong, or indifferent, just make a damn decision and be prepared to evolve.
And I really love that. And I also think that, you can't be making $100,000 with a $10,000 work ethic and $10,000 skills. Sometimes you have to, put the, like my brother Ed Milet talked about in his latest book. Sometimes you got to put the reps in. Sometimes you got to educate yourself, and sometimes you may not be able to get that $100,000 job yet. But if you're like Gary, my friend Gary said, your 9 to 5 pays your bills, but your 10 to 2 builds your legacy. So sometimes you might not be able to start at the top. You might have to take whatever job you can get and then go to school, get some skills to learn to take that $100,000 job. Because I'm seeing a lot of people now. I have a lot of business owner friends who are like, everybody wants to start at the top. They're like, it doesn't work that way in the corporate world. But a lot of veterans think, okay, well, I just got out of the military, I should start at the top. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, once again, there's entitlement there, right? And yeah, don't get me wrong. No one wants to get out of the military and then go be a security guard, right? But if you're looking for what you need, right, you're not going to get a minimum wage job because you're planning it out. And you don't need to make a $100,000 at one job. I mean, VRE is a great program. I'm a unicorn in the program because I ended up paying for a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate for me, right? Which is unheard of, it really is. But while you're in VRE, they pay you E5 BAH at the with dependent rate to go to school, which means that, and they pay for all your stuff while in school, which means that you're making about, I mean, depending on where you go, anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000 a month just to show up, right? You're looking at $36,000 to $48,000 just to do that. Not to mention, most people are getting a VA disability, which VA disability, guys, isn't rocket science. I mean, that's really sucking up your pride, but it's not difficult to get a decent VA rating, which, I mean, you're now looking at anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000 for a VA rating right there, which is another $36,000 to $48,000. So you're making roughly $70,000 to $90,000 just on VA benefits while you're in school, and you can still get a regular job. So most of those guys that are crying, I don't have a lot of sympathy for. I don't. They need to go plan out what they need, look at their resources, and ask questions.
Yeah,
right?
And and one thing I think, I mean, I like the VA. I mean, they're great for me. I don't like the big VA system, but the small VA system here in town, amazing, awesome people. But I'm getting emails all the time. Hey, Rich, we got classes on becoming an entrepreneur. We got classes on computer classes. We got this and we got that. And hey, by the way, if you're a veteran for a year, you can take as many classes as you want on LinkedIn for free. But a lot of people don't take advantage of that stuff, and it's free.
Now, those are the vet stuff. That's the vet stuff that vets need to take advantage of, right? Yeah. Ask if there's a veteran discount. Ask if you can, hey, look, I'm a disabled vet. I'm a vet trying to start my life. Can I audit this class just to get a little bit more information on business or accounting? And a lot of people will just say yes, which is great. But if they say no, then cool, let's pay for it, right? But people don't take the time to look. They'll ask their buddy, right? Which is, yeah, don't get me wrong, they're looking for information. It's great, but they don't actually do any research. They get their information from Facebook, or they get their information from a third party without actually getting facts. And that's what kills a lot of these guys. Then they get burnt out and taken advantage of because they just don't know what's going on. There's so many resources out there for guys wanting to start a new business or even improve business that they just got to reach out there and ask. One of the biggest lessons I learned when I ran a nonprofit for service dogs was starting small is great, right? Getting things for free and doing a quid pro quo to try to get things taken care of just to save money is great. But there's still a point where it's more expensive to get something for free than it is to pay for the service. And sometimes you need to pay for a service in order to see a return on investment. Not always. And sometimes it's an evolution, right? And you have to look at what you're trying to accomplish. And a return on investment isn't always about a dollar sign. Sometimes it's about notoriety. A lot of things I used to do with a lot of businesses to promote organization was do cross promotion, right? Can I promote your company for X amount of time and you endorse what we're doing? That's it, right? Just so I can put a logo on a t-shirt or a website and say, look, some people actually says that I'm doing the right thing somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Great. Can I put your logo on my website as support, right? That stuff, people don't understand how much impact that can have. And that's going and finding the answers that I want, not just, well, I can't do this because someone will say no. Right.
But something else that, also I think, like, I used LinkedIn for the first year. I think I took like $30,000 worth of courses for LinkedIn because I wanted to get as much as I could out of it. And they add it all to your experience. So it's a no-brainer. But I was collecting disability. So I'm sitting home and I'm like, how would I go find a business that I want to get into? And I'm going to volunteer if the owner will teach me how to run a business. And I
Yeah.
worked for free. I worked for free for years, and he taught me the back end of a business. But a lot of people were like, "Wait a minute, you worked for free?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I learned how to run $1 million company." So talk about that a little bit. Sometimes you have to go outside the system to get where you want to go.
Oh man, yeah. Taking the find so you know, we grew up in an age where we had mentors, right? We had
Yeah,
role models. Kids don't have that these days. You ask a kid what a role model is these days, they're not going to have a clue what the hell you're talking about. In the military, we had the same thing, right? When we were little privates, E1s, E2s, we looked up to the E4s,
yeah,
right? The Spec 4 Mafia, and we learned who to watch out for, who not to be. And that was a little fluctuating there. Then when we came in leaders and NCOs, they're like, hey, find that NCO that you want to be like,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
take lessons from them.
yeah.
Always try to improve yourself. So if you're not finding someone to compete against or someone to better yourself against, it's hard to get better. It is. And you have to find ways to challenge yourself. When I was doing my service dog program, it was great because the average service dog cost in California at the time was roughly $20,000 to $25,000 ish per dog. I was like, you know what? No one, I've yet to find people who can train a service dog as fast as I can, but I was getting dogs from the shelters. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see how much I can drop the cost in service dogs. I got the cost of service dogs in California to average out to be about $2,000 when I was done. I dropped the cost of a service dog roughly $18,000 to $20,000 in the state of California. I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was like, haha, now what? Yeah, did it put people out of business? Absolutely. Do I feel bad? No, because they were freaking taking advantage of people. But I did the same thing when I became a mental health provider, right? I was looking at the models of what was out there, and I went to go work for a couple people just to understand how they were doing things. And when I realized what they were doing wasn't rocket science or the magic I thought it was, I was like, great, got the info I needed, I'm out, right? But I went to go learn. I went to go put myself out there to figure out what I needed to do, and then I left. And vets, business owners, we have to do the same thing. You may not be able to afford to go work for free like you did. So go ask to take the guy out to lunch.
Yeah.
Right? Go research them. Hey, I got questions. Can I come and bring you a cup of coffee and ask you a few questions about what you do and how you do it? Right? They don't have to give you their trade secrets, but they're going to give you information that's just as valuable. And it's more important.
That I love because I'm actually going to speak at a Richard Branson event this summer. But I went to a Richard Branson event last year or 2 years ago, and I took out the garbage, I swept, I moved the chairs, I sold stuff in the back, but I got the same information as the people that paid that 25 grand to be up front. But when everybody went home, I got to actually chat with the people that were talking on stage. And I've actually interviewed 4 out of the 5. So now when I go back, I'm able to, get up on the stage. But like I said, I got the same information by picking up garbage, by moving the chairs, by helping people to their chairs, that the people that were paid $25 a seat. So sometimes, there's a couple of different ways to skin a cat. You might just have to think outside the box a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the value of what you do is what you put on it, right? Anyone can talk, but what's the point to it? If you try to make yourself better, you're going to learn more, and then you can put it out there more. Like, I have no desire to cure every veteran in the world, right? So I want to be a teacher. I want to teach other mental health providers how to take care of vets. I want to teach vets how to take care of themselves so they can pass that information along. My dog stuff's the same way. I lecture and I teach people how to do what I do, not because, they're going to, what's the old saying, often imitated, never duplicated, but they're going to be
Ric Flair.
right. but they're gonna be able to put that information out and adapt it to their style, to what they do, and it's going to be able to help more people. And that's the impact that they have, and it's an amazing thing. One of my buddies has always joked at me, you're going to be one of those guys that I knew that guy win, right? But when you start putting that information out there, you don't realize the impact that you have. You don't realize that when you start sharing information and people start coming to you for information, how much reach you actually have. Like, it still amazes me when I go to places and people know my name, right? People recognize me. People say, hey, I know that guy from here. I know that guy from there, right? Oh, you're Dr. Cameron. I go, who the hell are you, right? But it's very humbling and surprising. It's great in many, many ways. But it all starts from reaching out and you being that learner first, and you going out and finding people to emulate and talk to, and understanding what you do and don't know, and reaching out to them. Hey, how can this be better? How can I make this better? Right? You don't have to consider yourself a subject matter expert just to put out the information that you know.
Yeah, and like I'll reach out to Rob and I'll be like, hey, can you check this out? And he'll text me back. He'll be like, bro, your graphic look like shit. He's like, you need to work on that, or you need to maybe put that into Chat GPT, because that sounded like a third grader just wrote it. But sometimes you need somebody that's going to course correct you and start saying, all right, you can up your game a little bit, and you have to up your game. Like for me, my mentor for podcasting is John Lee Dumas.
Yeah,
and he's actually writing the back page of my new book. But he'll actually tell me, because he was an armor captain in Iraq, and he'll be like, listen, Tanker, you're fucking up, bro. You're not doing the right things. And sometimes you need to hear that. You need to. I don't need you to hold my hand. I need, like when we got on and we had some technical difficulties, and I apologize. You could have just, bro, you fucked up, but it's okay. It's all good. But sometimes there's so much coddling going on and hand holding right now. There's not a lot of guys like, I'm that old school guy in recovery. Bro, if you don't drink today, you can't get drunk tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, so talk about because sometimes you have to have that guy or girl that's going to tell you the way what you need to hear and not what you want to hear.
Yeah, I'm not the guy to sugarcoat things. I actually, it's kind of funny. A bunch of my therapist guys that work for me, they always are joking that I'm the guy that gets hired and consulted with to go fix other clinics, because I get to go deal with the hard case. They hire me to go be direct with their clients because they don't know how to be, right? I get hired to go consult and be that designated asshole to be real with people because they can't, or they don't know how to, or they're afraid to. It's hilarious.
So now the last couple of minutes, I'm a big sports guy. I love sports. I'm a big entrepreneurial guy. And I know that even like people I've talked to, like Robbins and Milet, they even have coaches, like even Kobe, Michael, Dwayne Wade, they had Tim Grover to get them right mentally. So do therapists have therapists?
Actually, they encourage therapists to have therapists, right? Because of the mental toll it takes on them, or it can take on them. But they actually encourage therapists to have consultation groups, to have mentors and people to back things with. I actually encourage business owners and veterans to do the same thing, right? To find someone they can consult with and hold those discussions with. If you don't have a strong peer group, or you have a lot of us new business owners will kind of curve to one another, right? Kind of collect. Hey, you're a new business owner, I'm a new business owner. Let's support each other, right? Sometimes if you want to, you need to pay for mentorship. So you can reach out and be like, hey, we got a small group. Are you willing to help mentor us and lead kind of like a team discussion, and we can just share the cost, right? Most guys will be like, yeah, right? I mean, uh, for example, I will do like my average rate is around roughly $300 an hour for consultation. I don't care how many people are in the group. If you want to bring 6 or 7 people in the group and you guys all want to share, it's like great. We're still going to be talking about the same thing. And one question that you're gonna afraid to ask, hopefully your buddy will ask it, and then you won't have to, right? And you'll learn from each other. Um, when I go to seek consultation for something, if there's other people that need the same type of info, all right, and I think they're going to contribute it. Hey, can I bring this guy along with me? Sometimes they charge for it, sometimes they don't, and great, let's get it done. So that mentorship, that consultation is freaking key.
And I love it. Like for me, if I want to learn something, I promise somebody I'm going to teach it. So now I got to learn it just so I know what I'm talking about. Like I'd have to sit there studying the soldier's manual before I got to take a class. So I get that. So, okay, this is the last couple of minutes. This is a teaching podcast. So if Private Joe Snuffy is going to get out of the military, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice that you would give them to set themselves up for success in the future?
Oh, that's actually not too difficult at all. Guy or gal getting out of the military, they need to create a plan, right, for the things they need to get done, right? Number one, create a plan. And because that plan is going to force you to create a list of objectives, I need to find a place to live. I need to find money. I need to find whatever, right? So create that plan. Number 2, treat your experience becoming a veteran like going to a new unit. When you go out and you're first becoming a veteran, just like you would in a unit, go seek resources. Go ask questions. Don't accept assumptions. Find out what the answer is. Well, I need a job. Well, the VA will take care of that. No, that's not an answer. It's where are these resources? Where can I find them? What do they actually do? And then go look at it, right? When you go to a new unit, yeah, you're gonna have people tell you things left and right, the barracks lawyers, but you still have to go get off your lazy butt and go find out yourself. So the first one is create that order, right? That plan. Second one is go actually ask questions and advocate, right? The third one of all things, create your own standard. Create a standard. What is the standard for you? Not what society says, not what you think the standard is. What is your standard? Right? If you feel like, living in a 5-bedroom house, great, that's your standard. Don't compromise your standards. If you want to get up and go to the gym 3 days a week, great. That's your standard. Don't compromise your standard. Whatever it is, you create that standard because then you have a measure of success or failure.
I love it. So what has Dr. Kevin got going on? And what do you got coming up in the future? Talk about, some of your speaking stuff and some of your books, and how could we find you?
Oh God. The easiest way to find me is drkevincameron.com or kevin-cameron.com. I just got done recently publishing my research on veterans being an independent culture and veteran evolution, a therapeutic model to actually allow vets to take care of themselves and get proper ethical treatment in mental health therapy. I've been doing a lot of research on working dogs and service dogs and things like that, how to actually get quality dogs out there. I am about to publish my book on veteran evolution. Think of it as the soldier's guide, the veteran's guide to surviving civilian life, right? Surviving life after service. That's going to be coming out soon. I've been doing a lot of talking and speaking about that type of stuff, and I'm going to continue to do that stuff. My biggest mission right now is really advocacy, teaching veterans how to get out there. And our mission right now is to, as we're getting all this information out the world, teaching people to stop supporting the charities that don't matter and realizing that supporting things like veteran research changes the life for not just one person, but for millions of veterans. It's great to send someone on vacation for $10,000, right? But did you know that $1,000, $500, you can get a piece of research out there that changes the life for everybody? So it all goes hand in hand. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really all hand in hand stuff. Um, it's really about just improving the quality of life. So still doing research, still getting my books out there and my programs out there and trying to make our world better.
And I want to give a big shout out once again to Dr. Robert, the warrior strategist. I want to thank him for everything he does and for putting us together. And
Yep.
I want to thank you, Doc, for taking the time today, and not only that, but then dealing with the technical issues. But I just want to say thank you for your friendship, and hopefully we can get together in the future. And I want to be the first person to buy your new book. I want to be the first person that it ships out to.
I'll make sure you get a copy. That's not a problem.
All right. So guys, make sure you check Kevin out. I love his Facebook profile. I love his LinkedIn. So make sure you check him out, even just to say hey. And he's doing some great things. And when that new book comes out, you better get it, because I know I'm getting my copy. So Doc, I just want to say thank you, my brother.
All right. No problems. Thanks for having me on today.
All right, guys. So remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is butt up. And like my t-shirt says, today I decide to be a victim or to be a victor. It's up to us to decide. So I love you, brother. Thank you, and have an amazing week.
All right. Talk to you soon, man.